Hey, it's Kevin O'Connor. Let's go through my latest mock draft over on The Ringer. We mixed up the draft order, and the Spurs won the lottery and ended up with the number one pick in the draft. I got them taking Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Smith, I love this fit with San Antonio. His shooting ability combined with his defense automatically can plug right into the Spurs, and with their player development system and their history of maximizing who guys can be as ball handlers, that's exactly what Jabari Smith needs to reach his full potential. So if they were to land a top 4 pick, whether it's number 1, 2, or 3, Jabari Smith Jr. is probably the guy I'd put number 1 on their board. Number 2, we got Chet Holmgren going to OKC. And this is the line here that I'm intrigued about. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander teased during his exit interview with local reporters that the Thunder will be competing sooner than later. So SGA and Dort and Giddey, OKC, Williams for that matter, OKC already has a lot of guys who can play ball. Like, these guys can play, they hustle on defense, or they're smart on offense as playmakers. Holmgren is the type of person who I think could come right in right away and help add a defensive presence to this team. They would have to add another big, which is the case with any team that gets Holmgren, but I love the fit with SGA and Giddey and all their size and playmaking that they would have. So if OKC moves up, honestly, any of the top prospects would make a lot of sense for them. But at number 2, I like Holmgren. We got Portland at number 3, going with Paolo Banchero. Baby, this fit right here. Damian Lillard with Paolo Banchero. Give it to me. Just give me this fit. I think it's perfect for Banchero, a Northwest kid, as well, to get paired up with Dame and with Anthony Simons, 2 guys who could run pick and roll. Imagine the types of actions they could run with Banchero. Dribble handoffs, pick and roll, short roll playmaking for Banchero. If he's drawing double teams on the post after a switch, that means Simons or Lillard are potentially getting open shot opportunities. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's an ideal fit for them, assuming they keep Dame. But even if they don't keep Dame, that's a nice guy to have for Anthony Simons. And then we get the Kings here. Now, see, I have Jaden Ivey going 5th here to Houston, right? And I have the Kings taking Shaedon Sharpe. And the reason why I do this is because, as I wrote here, would the Kings really want Jaden Ivey with De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell already in the backcourt? Unless one of them is moved, I struggle to find the logic in picking Ivey over a bigger scorer like Sharpe. And that's sort of where it's as simple as that. With Shaedon Sharpe, I think he has a chance to become the best player in the 2022 NBA draft class because of his scoring ability. This dude is so athletic. He can handle, he's fluid, he has feel for the game, he can pass a little bit. I honestly, like, in my heart, he's a guy that I'd have in the number 1 conversation, but in my mind, we just didn't see him play college. We didn't see him produce at that level, and we've seen what can happen with guys who get that opportunity and then they fall in the draft. But for the Kings, pairing him with Fox and Mitchell and Sabonis, he just slides right in as that wing go-to scorer. I'm in love with the fit there. And then Jaden Ivey with Houston. This one's a little bit of a strange fit here because neither of these guys are traditional playmakers. They're not pass-first guys. But at 5, are you going to take Jaden Ivey over Keegan Murray and some of the other guys available right now? You probably are. Like, those 2 guys in a backcourt together. Sure, it's not as great of a fit as Holmgren or Banchero or Smith, but in a disappointing scenario for Houston not landing a top 4 pick, Ivey's not a bad consolation prize. I'd love to watch that with Jalen Green. We got AJ Griffin to Orlando with the 6th pick. You know, like I write here, you got young guys who you hope can turn into primary options. With Griffin, it's similar in the sense that he has a baseline as a 3-and-D style guy. That guys that can get buckets for you, but can he turn into a primary? That's going to be the question over the course of time. Got Keegan Murray 7th to the Detroit Pistons. I'm a Keegan Murray guy, and I bet Cade Cunningham would be a Keegan Murray guy too. because of his shooting ability. He's selfless. He defends. Can you imagine Keegan Murray at 6'8" with his long arms and his intensity on defense paired with Cade Cunningham and my guy, Killian Hayes, who, by the way, sucks on offense, but he brings it on defense. Those guys could be formidable pretty soon on the defensive end of the floor, so I'm really into that. Got Jalen Duren going to Indiana. I don't know what to do here for the Pacers, to be honest with you. I really don't, because I'm just going to read this because I think it captures my thoughts well since I wrote it. Watching Isaiah Jackson thrive down the stretch for the Pacers has me wondering how a superior prospect like Duren would perform in Indy. And so here's the part that sticks out to me. You got Turner, who didn't play post Sabonis deal here. I would like to see Turner paired with a big like Duren, or alone with Tyrese Halliburton without another big before they get rid of him. But if you draft another guy like Duren, that at least gives you some flexibility here. If it works with Turner and him, maybe you keep them together. If it doesn't work, well, maybe you flip Miles Turner for a wing or another guard or future draft picks, and then you can build this thing out, because you got to go BPA here if you're the Pacers. You don't really need anything except just more good talent. Banking on a guy like Duren, who's a super athletic shot blocker, rim runner, I'm into it, pairing him with Halliburton. Number 9, we got Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. I'm into it. I'm very much into it because you already got Jose Alvarado. We've seen what he can do on the defensive end with his little troll move that he has coming up from behind on his opponents. Did it to Chris Paul twice, which is crazy. Johnny Davis provides some of that with more size at 6'5", with strength compared to CJ McCollum. So, like I say here, pair him with McCollum, and the Pelicans could be impossible to stop. And that's because of Davis's ability to create off the bounce, but he also provides defense. So if you get a lineup here with Zion, CJ, Ingram, and Davis, I mean, that's nasty. You add Herb Jones into that, Valanciunas. The Pelicans suddenly get really, really, really intriguing as a finals contender, plugging in Zion and then adding if they hit on Davis, or if they hit on their pick, regardless of who the selection is, they're going to be competing for finals sooner than later. They will. Number 10, Benedict Matheran going to the Wizards. This is a big selection for them. You got to get it right next to Bradley Beal. And Matheran, I love him as a pick who can help now, because of what he provides with his energy and his scoring ability, but also he's not a bad passer. He takes some risks, but I like the playmaking he can provide next to Beal without hogging the ball, because he can thrive with or without the ball. And if you decide to bounce, with Beal and get rid of him, well, Matheran's a nice guy to build around. Jeremy Sohan, got him going to the Knicks. This is kind of I made this pick in part to see how Knicks fans feel, because Tibbs loves his rookies who play hard. And as I said here, Sohan is the type of player Tibbs would build if he were playing NBA 2K. I feel that. I mean that. He likes guys who grind on defense. Sohan does that maybe more than anybody in the entire draft. We got Abaji here going to OKC with their second pick. Another plug and play guy in terms of 3-and-D potential. He can do a little bit off the bounce for you. He fits next to their primary ball handlers. I like the fit. Dyson Daniels, got him going to Charlotte. And this is simply the reason why. LaMelo Ball has too many off-ball skills for them not to be fully realized. And what I'm getting at is LaMelo can play off-ball. He can stroke threes. He's smart. He can cut. He can screen because of his size. Dyson Daniels is the type of player who can push him off-ball and allow him to, grow into that more often than he already has. We got Jang here going to the Cavaliers. He's been a fast riser throughout the NBA draft season. He's closing his season strong, playing in the NBL out in Australia and New Zealand here. So Jang is the type of guy at 6'10". I could see him going in the top 10 when it's all said and done because of his scoring ability. This guy can get buckets for you. He can create shots off the dribble. The problem is until late in the season, those shots often weren't falling. I got the comps: Brandon Ingram, Prime Chandler Parsons, Evan Turner. I don't love any of those three. I'm curious what you think about those. But with him, I'm intrigued by what he's going to turn into in the NBA. We get Eason here going to the Hornets. Similar mindset as the last one here. I mean, like if you're drafting Eason, and by last one, I mean the last Hornets pick. It's about maximizing LaMelo Ball. What can you do to turn him into the best version of himself? And with Eason, he's the type of player with his defense, intelligence, grit, heart, hustle, all these cliches that you want to name. That's why he's got the tall Jayshawn Tate comparison. I'd love adding him to the Hornets. And plus, like I said, there's some redundancy with Miles Bridges, but is Bridges a max contract guy? I'm not so sure. I'd actually say I am sure. The answer is no. He's not a max contract guy. We just don't know what he's actually going to get contractually. But no matter what he gets, you're likely going to sign him. But maybe if Eason grows into something, he becomes a more expendable player. Just looking ahead here. Ty Washington. I don't love this pick. I don't. You're going to survive with Ty Washington at 6'3" with Trae Young at 145 pounds. I don't think it's going to work. But as I say here, just like I talked about with LaMelo, it's even more important for Trae Young. Get that guy going off the ball, dude. Like Trae's gotta lean into his inner Steph instead of his inner Harden. It's just Trae's too good of a shooter to not be sprinting off screens and dribble handoff actions and just thriving in the corner for that matter from relocations. Like if he buys into that and provides more value with or without the ball in his hands, that's how you get the best out of Trae Young. The path he's going down now, to me, is incredibly disappointing. It makes me think that he is never going to win a championship, that he's going to be a career loser. That's why it's important for me that he finds another guard or wing, or it doesn't matter what size player, that can handle the ball. And Ty Washington is just the guy that I gave them in this mock, but I don't love the fit. But they got to find someone else who can handle and that is worthy of handling to push Trae off ball. Mark Williams, got him going to Houston here with the 17th pick. As I note, they don't need another big, but I don't think Christian Wood is part of their future. If Alperen Şengün is part of their future, which it seems like he certainly can be, will be, and should be, Mark Williams with his size and rim protection and verticality, in addition to, this guy, like I said, Robert Williams. He's not as bouncy as Robert Williams, but here's what he has that Robert Williams also has. A little bit of ball handling, good hands, surprising interior passes. Mark Williams, he played like a big at Duke because he's a 7-footer. But the passing ability, like with Robert Williams, is highly underrated. And I would love to see him in that Houston ecosystem, regardless of their first pick. We got EJ Liddell from Ohio State, older prospect here. But this just feels like a no-brainer selection. I didn't put Liddell here for the Bulls in my last mock until this one because I'm not going to put him there every single time. But at the 18th pick, if they are going to go for an older prospect, he can come in right away. And we're seeing with the Celtics in the East semis right now against the Bucks, if you have any chance of getting through Giannis, you need to have long, tough, hard-nosed wing defenders like Grant Williams, like Al Horford. EJ Liddell is one of those guys as a forward who can come in and hopefully provide that for you. Blake Wesley, got him going to Minnesota. I have no idea where to put this guy. He might end up in the lottery. He might end up in the 20s. He's such a raw player. His success and spot in the draft is going to have a lot to do with what he does in pre-draft workouts and the growth that he's shown since the end of the season. I mentioned Tyler Herro as a comparison for him. We saw him as a guy that rose into the lottery in his draft class. It would not shock me one bit if Wesley is one of those guys as well. Jayden Hardy, out of the G League, got him going to the Spurs. This dude might not even go top 20. I love him more than a lot of other people do. He might not go until the late 20s. But for the Spurs, I want to see Jayden Hardy in a system where he can get rid of some of his worst habits with ball stopping and inconsistent defense. What better place to do it with San Antonio? You got Jovic here. I'm just trolling, to be honest with you. Jovic and Jokic, sign me up playing those guys together. It would be hilarious. Who wouldn't like to watch that? It would be so funny. And also, I'm doing this, because I'm trolling, but really not, because as I say in here, everyone thrives around Jokic, particularly big forwards like Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. That's what Jovic is, a 6'10" shot creator. Jokic could bring the best out of Jovic just like he does for everyone else. I mean, you could say the same things for any pick really in this mock, but with Jovic, I do think there is value in providing backup behind Michael Porter Jr. because of the injuries and behind Aaron Gordon because of some of the offensive limitations. Jovic is that guy who can do some of the scoring and creation like MPJ, but can, hopefully grow into a solid defender like Aaron Gordon, even though Aaron Gordon is far better on that end. You get what I'm saying. Got Malachi Branham here. Got him going to the Grizzlies. And the main reason why says it in the first sentence: backup point guard Tyus Jones will be a free agent this offseason, and he's going to be in high demand. A lot of teams are going to be looking for a guard like Tyus Jones, so they might lose him. Branham's somebody who can come in and hopefully provide a little less playmaking and a little more scoring behind Ja. I just like the balance in that role behind Ja, but we'll see what happens. Kennedy Chandler, undersized guard. We already heard Sean Marks during the Nets exit interview that nobody's future is certain here, including Kyrie Irving. So if Ben Simmons wanted out again, if Kyrie decided he wanted a change of location, or if Kevin Durant didn't want either of him, if he wanted to dump these guys, bringing in another guard is going to be important. Patty Mills has a player option for next year. He's getting old anyway. Bruce Brown is going to be a free agent. Seth Curry will be a free agent next offseason. Getting another ball handler in there like Kennedy Chandler who can handle, facilitate, run the show for you is going to be of the utmost importance. I get the Darius Garland comp in there for him. We'll see if he reaches that level, but for a tiny guard and with his shot creation, it's easy to see why that comparison is there. Walker Kessler got him going to the Bucks. Again, simple reason, just like with the Nets. People say don't draft for need. I disagree. Need factors in to best player available. When you're ranking these guys, there's such a little difference between, the guy you have ranked 20th and the guy you have ranked 21st, or the guy sometimes you have ranked 16th compared to 36th. The difference can be, found because of your team needs and what your needs are going to be in the future. And for the Bucks, it's age. Brook Lopez is old. He's injury prone. He missed a lot of time this year. He's not going to last forever. Bobby Portis has a player option for next season. I know he loves winning in Milwaukee. I know that's why he signed that deal. But after the great year he had, that dude's going to get paid. And the Bucks already let go of a guy who got paid in PJ Tucker. So they're going to have to find another big. And I love the shot blocking Kessler could provide with their defense. To me, if you're going to draft a guy to grow into the next Brook Lopez, it's Walker Kessler. Number 25, San Antonio up again. Get them taking Kendall Brown. There's a little bit of a theme here, just so the upside picks for the Spurs, considering everybody else we chose for them in this edition's mock draft. Brown is a leaper. He's raw. I'd like to see them take a chance on him. I'm looking for better comps. Grant Williams, Kenrich Williams. I don't like those comps for Kendall Brown, but I'm struggling to find a better one. If you do have a better one, please let me know in the comments. We got Beauchamp going to Dallas. Ooh, this fit I'm in love with. What this is what you need. This is what you got in Dorian Finney-Smith. It's what you got in Reggie Bullock. Beauchamp is the type of guy, he's just going to improve his three-point shooting, but the defense, the decision-making, the selflessness, that's there. He's got it. It's just about developing everything else in his game. 27 got Christian Coloco out of Arizona. Got him going to Miami. Late bloomer with Zona, with Miami. You don't need anything from him early on. Maybe if you're losing some of your vets off the bench, he can come in and provide some minutes. But, I look at this as a long-term addition next to Bam Adebayo, growing him as a shooting big who can space the floor out potentially. in addition to having versatility on defense. And like I said here, look at this. 0% from 3 on 3.3 attempts. But here's the thing. Improved as a free throw shooter his junior season, hitting a career high 72%. Looks smooth on the limited number of mid-range jumpers he took. If he works in spot up threes leading up to the draft, his draft stock could rise because we'll see shades of Bucks Brook Lopez. We just talked about Brook and his importance to the Milwaukee Bucks. If you're the Miami Heat or if you're the Boston Celtics, if you're any of these teams in the East, your goal is how do we build the best roster possible to get past Giannis Antetokounmpo? Having a guy like Koloko with his size, shooting ability, you'd hope, and shot blocking ability would be of the utmost importance. Got Wendell Moore going to Golden State. This feels like an easy pick, to be honest with you. Like Wendell Moore with his 3-and-D potential, he can pass the ball. He knows how to cut and move and handle. He has all these Warriors ingredients. It's like the opposite of Jordan Poole, who had to grow those things. Wendell Moore comes in ready with them. Patrick Baldwin out of Milwaukee. This is another upside pick I have from Memphis here. Somebody who you draft him. If he fails, whatever, you already get a deep team. If he succeeds as part of this culture that has made a lot of young players improve already. I mean, you get a 6'9" guy who can shoot off the dribble and create for himself. That's what they're missing. That's why they drafted Zaire Williams last year. It's why I would expect they take a swing again this year. And with the final pick in the first round, I got Christian Brown going to from Kansas, going to OKC. Just adding another shooter here for them. Didn't have the best moments in the tournament, but this guy's got a flamethrower from 3. He can handle a little bit for you. He fits next to SGA and Giddey. Well, that's it for the first round. This year's draft class, I like it. We're going to have an update coming on Monday with a new mock draft, an updated big board, more scouting reports. I got Banchero 1 right now. I got Jabari Smith number 2, Chet number 3. And I'll be honest with you, those rankings might change as the draft approaches because of my own evaluations, intel we're getting, updates on what players are doing in their pre-draft training, but also the intel on where these players are going to go. We had Banchero going to Portland in my mock we just did today. We had Smith going to San Antonio. If it sounds like one of these guys or Chet or whoever are going to go to a situation that's not great for them on paper, maybe I bump them down. If it feels like they're going to an ideal fit, maybe Chet ends up number 1. And by the way, this is the sleeper. Jayden Sharp. I have him 5th on my board right now. He might end up higher depending on everything I just said leading up to the draft, but I love me some Jayden Sharp. He's the name to keep in mind as the potential steal in the lottery. I'm looking forward to doing more of these. We'll do more draft videos as it approaches on June 23rd. The lottery is next Tuesday. I am fired up for that. It is always an exciting day, launching the conference finals as well. So stay tuned on the Ringers YouTube channel. Subscribe, leave a comment, give the video a like, send it to your friends if you think they might like it, and be sure to check out our other content. We got lots of podcasts. We got written stuff up on the website. It's not just the NBA draft guide. We have so much content here that you can find underneath. Like you can open up a podcast clip from here. You can open up an article. I mean, my goodness, we got it all. Charks on Banchero. You want to read that? You got it. Just check that out on theringer.com, and you can find the draft guide at nbadraft.theringer.com. Thank you again. I hope you have a fun day.